Okay, there you are. So we're live.
Just take us off. Down here. Oh, that worked. Yeah. Studio.
You're good.
Okay.
Hey, Matt.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
Matt and John, welcome. How are you?
Doing great. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing fantastic. Hi, everyone out there. My name is Dan Edwards. We are in the tech studio. We are here joined today by Tour Edge. We're going to hit some shots. We have James and Jeremy who can come on in. And we have gentlemen here to answer everyone's questions.
Hello, everyone.
Well, hello. We've got Jeremy mic'd up. We have James, former teacher, who's plenty loud, so I'm sure you'll hear him. And let's kick it off
with a history of Hot Launch in this line.
Yeah, I'll kick it over to the Tour Edge guys. Do you want to give us a history of Hot Launch?
Yeah, absolutely. John Claffey here, marketing guy at Tour Edge. This is our 5th iteration of Hot Launch. It has been a true game changer for us. It kind of sits on a price point that doesn't exist anywhere else in golf. We're kind of on an island all by itself with this mid-tier price point with a custom fitting story latch to it. But this Hot Launch 521 was a brand new direction for us. It is there are two sides of it, and what we did basically is we found through our focus groups and everything we've learned over the years with game improvement clubs that there were basically two sides of the coin of the spectrum of game improvement, and that was one side of people that just wanted the easiest to hit clubs possible and did not care how it looked at address as far as offset, shallower faces. And we've so we made an extreme version of game improvement for the E521 side, and then on the other side of that coin is the competition spec game improvement. So it's a little bit more sits friendlier at address, and really an emphasis on power creation. But two totally different technologies under the same umbrella. Whereas the E side of things, the extreme game improvement side, has what we call the Houdini Soul, which you could see Dan showing off there. And the competition spec is it's more traditional shapes and design aspects, but it's really made for those people who want the benefits of game improvement, but are a little bit more discerning on how something looks. So that's why there are two sides of this launch. But I can Matt Neely was instrumental. Matt Neely is here. He's our vice president of product development. and he was instrumental in having this all come to life. So I'd like to have him give his basic overview on the Hot Launch 521 as well.
Hey guys, can you all hear me?
Sure can.
All right, cool. I was having some trouble with the audio, so I didn't hear most of what you said there, John. So good chance I'll repeat some of it. But happy to be on. Sorry about that. I thought I got in early enough to test it out, and like it goes, it doesn't always work. But wish we could be there with you guys. I'm looking outside. We got 6 inches of snow on the ground, and it's 20 degrees out. So much rather be there with you guys hitting some balls. But
I don't blame you.
it's also about 40 degrees here in my basement. So if I start shivering, just don't worry about me. I got my space heater right behind me, so it'd be safe. But yeah, I think I heard the tail end of John's talk. But I think the biggest thing that we kind of tried to do with this lineup this year is really differentiate because last year we had HL4 and HL4 OS. And, while HL4 OS suited a really nice segment of the market, I just don't think we went quite far enough. It was more or less the same as HL4, just kind of with some more offset on the product. So this year we kind of just took it a little bit further. So, C521, you'll notice is a lot of the head shape stuff is really very similar to HL4 OS, more traditional, more standard, and then really just pushing the limits as far as face, head shape, design on the E521 product. And as John mentioned, that's the extreme game improvement. So, really, I don't know if you'll find a more like singularly focused product, is really like get the ball up in the air, get it going straight, and, get it going forward was really the whole design intent around the whole E lineup. So, all those things, it was really cool to kind of just go back to the drawing board on E and just figure out what we can do to make it really perform for that higher handicap guy who's just looking to get the ball going forward and up in the air.
So looking at Houdini Soul, I know your group over there is not unfamiliar with unique soul concepts. How did the design of Houdini Soul come about, and what really drove that process for you?
Yeah, so the Houdini Souls actually, came about on a product. John, I don't know, you might have to refresh me. How long ago was the trilogy back in the day? Was it 10 years ago or so? We had a Houdini Soul. It was a very similar rear soul bump. And, from tons of feedback, and I've been at Tour Edge for a year and a half, but in my year here before we started designing this product, I kept hearing about it. And how well it did through the turf interaction, how it really worked to help, reduce a little bit of turf interaction. It really helped to move the weight way towards the back. It gives us a lot of extra meat back there to increase the MOI, to get the CG way back. And it also kind of works as like, I guess the best word for it is a rudder through the turf. So it's providing that turf interaction, that bounce that is kind of needed for the higher handicap player to get through the turf. Without really impacting or adding a bunch of meat there on the sole, because we're really kind of able to, add this rear triangular pocket there, and then kind of add these other pockets around the side that almost reduce turf interaction by almost 33%. We've kind of found in our testing, and that's kind of how we ended up. That's where we started with Houdini Soul. We had, probably I've got a bucket of 3D prints. We probably had about 35 different iterations before we finally landed on this specific Houdini Soul, as far as getting us the mass properties and the turf interaction, and kind of how the club sits and looks at address too was a big consideration of adding that big chunk of meat there in the rear portion of the club.
Okay, well, we have 2 members of staff here who are more than willing to hit some product. I know we have lots of folks in the chat likely looking to ask you gentlemen questions. So we'll kick it off with some shots here. Probably start with irons and move our way into maybe max out at fairway woods today. Now, since we have a bit of a limited time, and I'll take a look at the questions and see what they have for you.
Cool.
Come on in, guys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of numbers you guys get between the two, different ranges, the E and the C.
I figure we'll start out with the E series.
Yeah, I think with E, something to keep in mind with that Houdini Soul is that for the driver, it really, helped us bring the CG as far back as possible, helping with MOI. But for the Fairway Hybrid Ironwood, that's when that 35% turf interaction reduction comes into play.
I'll tell you what, he's just hit a pretty solid shot here. It sounded very good.
Felt very good.
And that is the Ironwood, yes?
Looks like this is the Ironwood.
It is the 7 Ironwood.
Great. We got a question in the chat. How did you get the name?
The name Houdini?
Houdini was something we had trademarked from the past, and we kind of revived it and brought it back just because it's literally, this is a get out of jail free card. It's kind of like your escape artist for the golf course with, you know, how it really just takes any tough lie and makes it the easiest possible to hit club out of any tough lie. That's where the thinking was. We already had it in the books, and we thought it was a perfect matchup.
Okay. We have another question coming in. What are your plans to improve upon the amazing EXS 220 and 220 Pro lineup?
Kind of a shame we weren't able to talk about that today, but it's coming pretty quickly down the pipeline. You will be seeing the new exotics is headed your way.
Yeah, I got my golf bag back there with some head covers on it that I'm sure you guys would like to see those head covers come off, but can't do that quite yet. But it is coming soon. So, you know, I think all I'll say is it's really some pretty exciting stuff. I think we kind of had a chance to go back to the drawing board a little bit as far as the design goes. It's not to say you won't recognize it as a Tour Edge product, but it is it's very different from some of the product we've you know, some of the exotics lineup in the past. But the performance and everything we've been seeing on the robot with player testing has been really exciting. So looking forward to, you know, hopefully doing this again, and we can do it on the exotics gear.
Yeah, I think
we got a question. Sorry.
No, I think we can add just a little bit on to what's coming. It's we've got a new naming system that started with Hot Launch 521, and so the new stuff that's coming to look out for soon is called Exotics 7. So the 7 kind of stands for exotics now, and the 5 for Hot Launch. That's kind of our new naming system, and that's something you'll see in other products moving forward.
So we have a question for Jeremy, actually, coming from Bunker Snot in the chat. 190-yard 7-iron looks like a gamer. How does it feel?
It feels fantastic. It feels very solid feeling. Glides right through the turf that we have set up here. It feels like any other hollow body iron that I've hit before.
And
Yeah,
Howard, you know, one of the big things about Hot Launch that, you know, even your faster swingers like you guys can will see is that just because we have really extreme launch and really nice launch properties, the spin does not balloon. We're not seeing excess spin in a lot of cases. And so when you're hitting a 7-iron like that, we would expect pretty similar spin rates to your normal 7-iron, but the apex heights should be a little higher.
Yeah, and another thing to note, I mean, you mentioned the turf interaction, and if you look at the E gear from the front versus the C, you'll notice that all the E product kind of has a little bit of a triangular shape, even at the leading edge, and that's kind of when John was mentioning that reduced turf interaction, it kind of really pulls up the heel and toe of the product. That there's not quite as much that's really going to dig there on the heel and toe, and that's really where we see with the higher handicap golfers that we get a lot of that extra digging that is really not great for chunks, duffs, and things like that. And that's something that, you know, in the fairway all the way through the Ironwoods and even the wedge is really kind of a big feature on the whole product. So, you know, looking at it from the front, particularly on the Ironwood, you know, maybe it's a little funky looking, but it really does get the job done.
So we had a lot of questions about top line profile, and I think hopefully what I gave to you guys on the camera there worked.
Yeah, and then, you know, kind of across the board, and, you know, maybe you guys will see this here on the sim, and I'm kind of noticing it here. You know, most of the E product has kind of been designed with a little bit more of a draw bias. That's kind of where it lives. That's where the offset product that we've had is kind of always meant to live. It's just kind of designed to help reduce that slice there. Obviously, you guys are swinging pretty hard there, and that shaft could be a little little weaker. We got different shafts in the E versus the C. It's Fubuki there in the E lineup, a little bit more tip active, a little bit higher launch versus the Alda La Rogue that we have in the C lineup. That's just going to be a little bit more of a mid-launch shaft.
So just so you guys know, the gentleman from Tour would like to compliment your speed, a little power you guys are showing today. So
Yeah, I like it.
There's another
Thank you.
question in the chat, actually more of a comment from G-Man. He said, play the ES E521-3 Ironwood from the turf. Soupy, mushy Ohio grass interacted great and slid nicely.
That's what it's
Awesome.
for.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like Claff said, it really is kind of the whole Houdini story is really like a get out of jail free card. Any lie, get it out of there. It's gonna get the ball up in the air and get it going forward.
So we got another question here in the chat. Mike Thomas is asking, is that for people not needing to get the ball up as quickly?
Not sure I understand the question. I would say the whole lineup as far as E goes, and that's really a lot of the reason why our face heights are a little bit lower. It kind of is designed to help you get the ball up in the air quicker. That's kind of was the thought around the whole lineup. The slightly shallower face height on everything kind of encourages that, get the ball up in the air, get it going a little bit faster up in the air. So I think it kind of was designed that way. Get the ball up in the air and get it going.
Yep.
That was my perspective as well.
He's asking C line in comparison.
We got another question, Josh?
Yeah, Mike was asking about the C line in comparison to the E, versus, keep it lower versus higher.
In the
Okay.
discussion, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's really kind of how the two were lined up, and it's especially noticeable in the fairway woods, the driver, and the hybrid. Really, everything on E is very low profile. 1 to 2 to even 3 millimeters lower face heights than the C. The C is really more your traditional look. You're looking fairway wood driver, slightly deeper face heights. We would definitely say, and what we've seen in our testing is most of the E product range, we're around 1 to 2 degrees higher on launch angle. A little bit of that with the driver is loft, but even in our loft match to tests, we're seeing 1 to 1.5 degrees of increased launch on the E lineup.
So I got a question sent to me, and I just wanted to ask, rather than pass it to Dan, how hard is it from an R&D standpoint to create performance at a budget like this?
That's a great question. It can be very, very challenging, and that's actually one of the things I think we're really proud of on particularly the C driver. We've got MOI up over 5,000. So while it is maybe a little bit more of a, not to say better players, but a little bit more traditional, in that shape with kind of some of our manufacturing limitations, we're really pretty stoked on being able to get the MOI up that high. And that's really, I think, goes to show our experience in this product category of, being able to make a driver, a fairway wood that's selling for $100, $200, $250 less than a lot of the big guys do. And really on our robot testing, it's actually pretty phenomenal when we put it up against a $550 or $600 driver that, obviously, the E product's designed in a little bit different of a space. Let's get it a little bit higher spinning, higher launching. But, seeing the C stuff up against, a lot of the big guys stuff, it's right up there because we're really able to kind of push the envelope with, I think, our, 25 plus years of experience in this specific product category. But it is very challenging. That's a great call out.
Well, kudos.
So someone had asked a couple different questions here, and you can obviously take them the way they came. First of all, someone was asking about combo sets and whether you would encourage something like that between the two lines. And then from an Ironwood perspective, is the goal of this more to run throughout the set, or is it to support that sort of utility hybrid area in the bag?
I think we sell, and John could maybe expand on this a little bit, but we do sell a boatload of these Ironwoods as individual SKUs, like 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. So a little bit more in that utility range. So people are actually
If
combo
Ironwood
setting
is
them.
hot.
They may not be combo setting them with the C521 product, but they are slotting them in the bag like they would a hybrid. Now they are loft matched. The C and E irons are all the same loft, so we certainly can sell them as a combo set. And then in the past, I think with where all the Ironwoods and irons were all in the HL4 family, we actually had a triple combo set that we offered. We decided not to do that this year with the lines kind of being a little bit more divergent. But I think we are seeing in-house quite a few orders of those mixed combo sets. Maybe John can expand on that a little bit. I'm on the R&D side, not the sales side. So,
Yeah, no, we sell everything pretty evenly. As the Ironwood set, you can get in a matrix of 12 different clubs, so you could start at 3 iron, and if you can end all the way up in your A wedges. So that's where fitting comes in and is really important with these, and why Hot Launch over its 5 iterations has helped us increase our custom fitting by 350% over the last 5 years. Custom fitting has been huge for this because every other company with custom fitting is trying to get you to get your money level up, and we're just trying to simplify the process. Look at lie angle for the irons, look at grip size, look at loft, look at the shaft, and get all that figured out, and length and everything, and get all that figured out for you in our custom fitting process, and not try to throw different shafts into the mix and complicate things. So we've tried to simplify custom fitting for the masses and make the only mid-tier price point custom fitting option that's out there, and that has been huge for us.
So we have another question I think James is going to ask for us.
Yeah. So how does the development of exotics roll into and affect Hot Launch's development?
that's a great question, and something we're starting to do more and more. So I think one of the biggest things you'll notice, particularly on the C lineup, we have started cascading some of our technologies down from exotics. Because exotics, as somebody kind of called out, but exotics, we're really able to spend a little bit more money and time on R&D and kind of throw the whole kitchen sink at exotics. But we're kind of able to use that as a testing bay for the rest of our lineup, and find the right technologies that we can do at the right price point and cascade down into our Hot Launch. And one of the biggest features there is actually both on C and E. On the metalwoods, we've utilized diamond face this year for the first time, and that technology was rolled out on EXS 220 and EXS Pro, and that's kind of our revised variable face thickness. And in the past on this type of product, we were really only able to do 1 or 2 very simple levels of variable face thickness, and that did a great job of keeping us as hot as possible at center. But we really lost a little bit on some of those off-center hits. But through some of the development of exotics, we were kind of able to see the things that we might be able to, cost down or, utilize within our Hot Launch lineup. And the diamond face was one of those. And that's one of the things we've seen. We've seen a lot better ball speeds across the entire face on the C and E range, which obviously for this player type is pretty massive because they're, going to be hitting it kind of all over the face. And that even happens with better players too. So that's one of the big ones that we cascaded down this year, and I think that is something that you'll start seeing with a lot of our product in the future. Are kind of rolling out a lot of tech things on exotics, and then potentially cascading it down into Hot Launch the next year.
There's been a couple questions in the chat about the basic shape that you would anticipate that an Ironwood would use. We've seen a bit of draws here. I've watched these guys hit quite a few draws this week, so I'm not overly concerned with, but does it typically encourage a draw? Is it going to be more of a straight line product?
Yeah, I mean, and the way that we kind of position and place the Ironwood is really to be a little bit more of a draw enhancing product. We've got a decent amount more offset than on the Ironwoods than we do on the irons. So that's just automatically going to increase your draw bias. And then as far as the CG location, it's a little bit inside center face, especially compared to the C irons. So all of those things are kind of going to go to encouraging a draw a little bit more. And that's really kind of who the whole E range was designed for. So yes, I think you'll definitely notice that with the E product. Oh, we lose you guys?
I think we did. Well, I can kind of take some time to talk about all the vast improvements over the last iteration of HL4 until these guys come back. We posted something on our Instagram and Facebook yesterday where we listed all of the percentage increases, Matt, and they're really impressive. You guys in the R&D team did an amazing job with getting these huge numbers. Like, for example, you mentioned that no other driver out there has a 5,000 moment of inertia rating at this price point, and it's not really even close. But the other things that you were able to accomplish, like on the E driver, was 12% higher MOI, a 10% deeper CG, a 14% lower CG. I mean, those are big numbers. When you this was basically on every product, but like the E Fairway would have had a 23% lower CG. Like, from a design standpoint, that seems like it's really, really difficult to do. How do you get to such big improvements on MOI, on CG, height, and lowness?
Yeah, I mean, so the biggest thing on E that we took advantage of to really make sure we got that CG really low, we really focused a lot on face height, and that's, I think, one of the biggest things you'll notice looking at it, and that really helped us. Lowering face height across the board really helped us get that CG a lot lower. And then, we've got a crown that's around 20% thinner than it was in past years, and that's really helped us. Hey, guys, we lost you for a bit there.
We're back.
All right, cool. John was doing his dance and, filling some time. But
Yeah, we had good audio for you. So
cool.
I was able to follow along with what you're doing. We really appreciate you doing that while we had some battery issues on the fantastic camera we have here in the tech studio. This is actually our first week of full-on live streams with the Hitting Bay, so I appreciate you guys jumping in, and everyone out there, please understand there are always going to be a couple hiccups.
Yeah, right on, of course.
Yeah, I just started spouting out some numbers, but if anybody in the audience wants to go look at our latest post on Instagram, you can see all these huge increases that we had over the last iteration, where we just knocked it out of the park, raising MOI and having a deeper CG and a lower CG in every product. All 9 products that are in this huge launch of ours, which was our biggest launch in our company history. But let's throw it back to you guys and see what kind of results you're getting there.
Yeah, James, I think, has a follow-up question.
Thank you. Which of the 2 series is, or do you anticipate being, the bigger or better seller?
I think it's the Extreme is going to have the edge, just because there's nothing else quite like it. They were literally designed to be the easiest to hit golf clubs. So imagine, all your people at the villages getting their hands on these, and your Sunbelt older golfers who
John is talking about me.
who really need this kind of help. It's just they were designed to make the game easier and more enjoyable. So I think it's probably going to be a 60-40 clip to E, but
60-40, okay.
That is just a guess at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, like John says, I think the world that E lives in is a lot smaller world. Not that we're a bigger fish in that world than we are in C. So that, like John said, there's not really anything else like they're quite like it out there. I mean, I think we're seeing maybe some more of the bigger guys play in this space, which we love to see. But yeah, I think it will be E. That's right down the center there. That looks good.
Pretty happy with that one, guys.
So we got a question about Team Tour Edge, and it's something that John and I worked out. I will tell you that we are going to have signups for that within 2 weeks, and it's going to be pretty incredible based on what John and I have talked about, and you guys getting their equipment in your hands.
We have another question from Facebook. This one from Marjorie. Any ladies information in the mix?
So yeah, both of these are come as women's sets, not full sets, but you can go the full gambit if you want. But we have women's shafts that were specifically designed for Hotline 521. You can get them in C and an E. And, you know, a lot of women are gravitating towards the E521 because of how easy it is to hit and how easy it is to launch.
Yeah, and then all stock across the board, I think the women's product is an inch shorter. But as John mentioned, we also are, you know, we do all of our custom fitting, and it's all available for free. You know, just go get custom fit. So really, it's very flexible as far as your height and what you need.
There's a comment here coming from YouTube. This is from our good friend Kev. He made a comment, and I absolutely agree. Your exposure on the Champions Tour has been fantastic, and we're very curious how much satisfaction your brand gets out of seeing so much usage out there.
Yeah, I think I can answer that. It's been huge for us. It was an even level playing field. Just so happened the first day we went out there was in 2018. We were going out for 2 weeks to kind of test the waters, and within 2 weeks we had a dozen players gaming our stuff. And so it led to us signing Tom Lehman, Scott McCarron, Duffy, Waldorf, and Tim Petrovic on our staff. But we've had over 100 guys out there use our stuff. So despite only having 4 guys that are kind of on a deal to play Tour Edge, we had 99 other guys who have played everything from driver all the way to wedges and putters. So it has been huge for us to expand into different categories. We were the fastest growing driver brand out on the PGA Tour Champions last year. And that's just a huge testament to how good our stuff is and how we can go to toe-to-toe with anybody. And we've got some big news coming up soon for PGA Tour Champions. Obviously, this week is the first event for 2021. It's out in Hawaii. It'll start on Friday. But you may see some new players gaming Tour Edge here pretty soon.
Wow, you heard it here first, everyone.
They had some requests for you guys to hit the wedges too.
Okay.
And as you can see, we do have a great Tom Lehman exotics bag here in the tech studio, which looks fantastic.
So just a little bit, you know, we had 20 different guys choose to play either EXS 220 or EXS Pro drivers last year. None of the guys who played our driver were compensated to do so.
Yeah.
It all happened organically out on the range at the events, testing versus what was in the bag with, you know, TrackMan. And, you know, we were that competitive and that good against anything else that's out there that we had 20 guys play 75 different drivers in only 15 events. So that was huge for us. We also had iron sets in play and wedges in play for the first time. Scott McCarron and Tim Petrovic is playing a full bag of exotics. So just a lot going on out there, and we're going to expand it even more. But, you know, just there was a void out there that Adams had left, and we filled that void, and we definitely have found our home.
Okay, I think James has another question.
Yeah, so we've got a couple. First off, John, there's a signed pin flag behind you. Who's on that? What is it?
That is Bubba Watson. My gig before this was Volvic Golf Balls, and I was part of the team that got him to be playing a pink and green golf ball at Augusta. So I actually, my one time going to Augusta National was with Bubba to watch him break history, putting a pink golf ball in play there. So I got a flag for myself as well.
Great.
And then Matt, there's a container of golf balls behind you. What are those?
So unfortunately, about 8 years ago, I decided to start collecting golf balls from every course I played. So this is one of about 10 of these things, which my wife absolutely hates. So they live in the basement here with me. So, and it's become a very expensive and heavy habit. And, you know, if I go to a Muni that costs $12 and was horrible, I still got to buy a ball. It's really kind of become habit. But, you know, one thing with COVID here, so many of these courses, they've been having a ton of trouble getting their golf balls in. So I've got a bunch of courses I've got to go back to get balls. It really annoys me. So yeah, this is one of, I think I've got 9
and
of
then
these.
we did have a question, and as far as one of you guys' big deals is your warranty, your lifetime warranty. How can Tour Edge do that? How are you able to do that?
You know, we really have to keep a lot of clubs back. We have what we call the museum in our warehouse, where we try to keep a little bit of everything we've ever made, because even if you call us in 15 years and say, well, I was playing the original CB Fairway and it finally snapped on me, if it was a defect, you know, we have promised to replace it. We stand behind our product like nobody else. But a lot of times we'll say, well, do you want to upgrade to something that's, you know, 15 years into the future? from where you're at now. And a lot of times they'll say, no, I want the CB. And we'll have to go back there and dig it out and figure it out.
Oh,
So
okay. EXS forged wedge there. Nice.
Yeah, we got some
clean edge.
questions about the wedges, so I think James is going to take a couple rips here.
They're spinning.
JB in the background said these are spinny.
Yeah, they produce an extreme amount of spin, but we've moved a lot of the weight, and you'll probably know it by the kind of slightly thicker top line and the little cutout area in the middle. We kind of moved a lot of the weight up, and that was kind of to help us control launch a little bit. A lot of times with these wedges, you can kind of run into just it launching way too high because the CG ends up so low. So with the wedge, it's kind of interesting because we really want to tug the CG up a little bit, actually. But
yeah, for it being a blade wedge, it's extremely forgiving. I think that was one of the reasons why it was our first ever wedge in play on tour, and why Scott McCarron is still gaming them, and why Tim Petrovic is still playing these wedges, is because it is a blade wedge, but it does not play like a blade wedge. It plays very forgiving.
We had a couple different balls here. I thought it'd be fun to see the different spin numbers. I have a feeling this is going to be a bit juicy, James.
Let's see.
All right, just about 10,000. You want to hit it, swing a couple wedges, Jay?
Sure.
For me, that's really good.
James is not a big spinner of the golf ball, so that's a great number for him.
Yeah, and after this,
anything-
maybe the hitters can break down what they've hit so far and what they've been experiencing.
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean this is a great wedge, a great player's wedge. But that I think I saw you guys take a couple rips with it. That the E521 wedge is another one of those products that was kind of designed with a very, very singular focus, and I think you can give that to just about anybody, my dad included, who's like a 25 handicap, and they'll at least be able to get it out of a bunker. I mean, it's got just this massive sole. It's really, really easy to hit. It was a really fun one to work on.
So we'll let Jeremy hit one more here. And then I'll have both guys get together and chat a little bit about what they've seen so far.
And then we can get on to the big dogs.
Yeah, we're moving up to bigger and better from a distance standpoint. They want to hear what you guys think about what you've hit so far, maybe make a couple points to tell them.
So one of the big things, and it's hard for us to convey even here, especially with the E series and what the sole does and the shape of the face. And I'll try to do it again. I know Dan did earlier, but the way that's round, as far as getting through, I know we're on a mat, but you can still get through the surface. And what that's done is pretty impressive, because I got a couple of them that were a little bit heavy, and it really wasn't as much of an issue. And I know there were some comments on profile before, and some people like a more normal one. I would argue that the C series gives you that much more normal game improvement overall look. Yeah, it's got a thicker top line, but it's still really solid. And I think we both made the comment about how solid they feel.
The E series definitely feels super solid. And what I like, even though many people might think it's more of a hybrid, it's not. It's an ironwood. And from a dress, they've done a great job at making it look like an iron, because as it falls down the black, it kind of just disappears. So I really like that.
Yeah. Good
So
feedback.
why don't we move into fairways?
Yeah, so something to note on the woods versus the irons. So, another interesting thing that we did on the drivers and fairways, the stock length on our E driver is actually 44.5. So in the fairway wood stock at 42.5, which is half an inch to an inch shorter than some of the other guys out there. And I think what we found there with doing that was, in a lot of our player testing, we found there wasn't really a major impact on our swing speed. It decreased a little bit, but we found that these higher handicap players were hitting the center more frequently with these shorter length clubs, and really the ball speed delta was not that huge. And guys were keeping the ball closer to the center of the fairway a lot more frequently. So that was kind of one thing that was really interesting on the E stuff, just a little bit shorter than your stock product out there. And it's really resonated, I think, with the consumer.
Yeah, it really helped slower swingers max out smash factor.
Okay. So we moved into fairways. James showed what he's hitting. My original plan was to invite everyone out there watching to understand we are live. There's a bit of pressure on the guys here to do well. They haven't exactly been fit for this product, so to be gentle. And then James went ahead and ripped the first one. So
Yeah, those are some smokes there.
let me just take a look at the product once
What
again.
are some of the numbers there in that swing?
Let everyone at home see that.
Danny wants the numbers from that swing.
We're going to get you some numbers here.
Do the one before that.
James is really excited about the one before that, so I'll pull up the table view and we'll isolate on that.
And what we'd expect on the E would be it should be a little higher spinning and a little bit higher launching. It's got about a degree extra loft on it on the E versus the C. But it'll be interesting to see what you come up with, what you get.
So we got 3,200 RPMs of spin, 148 mile an hour ball speed. Peak height strong 36, 241 yards of carry.
Cool. All right, now we got the D.
I like those numbers.
Those are strong numbers. I think everyone watching along, especially those in the what I call the frost belt, would love to have those numbers written by now.
Well, that's $150 fairway wood.
$150 for that kind of performance. It's hard to imagine how you guys are able to do what you're doing at that price point.
That is where we butter our bread. That's why the pound for pound, nothing comes close tagline is our mantra.
We got comments. You guys want to know if they're swinging stiff shafts? Let them know what's in there, James.
This one, I switched over now to the C series. This has got a 60S Rogue in it. So,
Okay.
yeah. The other one had what? It was a
55.
55S Fubuki.
Read some of these comments, Dan.
Oh,
We've got the tagline is so true. 150 question mark, question mark, question mark. Wow. They are great numbers. That 220 is sexy. There's way more positive than the last time I was live on here, so that's quite good.
thank you.
James is very happy with you guys, and
Ignore the last swing.
I don't know if I'm talking to Tour Edge here or the commenters. We've also got a Dayum. That's from your buddy Donnie.
Hey, Donnie.
Painting the line.
Soft.
Just about cut the range in half here. Straight down the line. That was beautiful.
Good ball, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Mike Thomas said smoked. Brian wants to know, James, how do those numbers compare to your gamer?
I mean, so what's interestingly enough, what's actually in the bag right now is the XS Pro. So I get a little more ball speed out of the Pro, but I think that's a fit thing more than anything else. Especially the E though, given the offset and the low profile, and the fact that we're hitting it off. We're not hitting off a tee right now. We're just hitting off the turf. How easy it got up is more impressive than whatever speed and distance was. But speed and distance was still good, and they feel really good. Is the more important thing.
Yeah, they do feel fantastic.
I think
sound great, too.
an interesting thing to note, running player tests on fairway woods are sometimes like the hardest player tests to run because just hitting a fairway wood off the turf or just a flat mat is not the easiest thing in golf to do, especially with higher handicap guys. But with the E fairway wood, we found to get 10 like good swings, we were looking at about, I don't know, it was 12 to 13. It would take, throw out 2 or 3. But when we were hitting some more of the standard length, standard looking product, it's typically more like 18 to 20. So that's a great comment. What you said, it's kind of designed to be easier to hit every time. And while it may not win the distance race with every single one, you're going to be out there probably further on average than you would with your standard fairway wood for a higher handicapped folk guy.
Yeah, a couple points just to add on about the sound and feel. It's been huge for us to really perfect acoustics. That's why EXS 220 was such a smash hit for us, and why the tour really jumped on all of our stuff. Is we've really gone light years ahead of where we were even just a few years ago with sound and feel, and we brought that to hot launch with this iteration. This is a huge upgrade from HL4 in the feel, and Matt was instrumental in figuring that out and getting some acoustic ribbing channels on the inside of these club heads to really bounce the sound around and perfect sound and feel. That's been absolutely a game changer for Tour Edge over the last 2 years, I'd say. And we just keep perfecting it and getting better and better. And I think for the first time, we were able to raise the sound and feel acoustic properties of the hot launch line with this one.
Made a little bit of a switch here in the Bay.
What do we got there? 220?
They want to know, what do you got there?
This is EXS 220 with a airspeeder 40 regular flex.
Okay, so we got a little smooth transition coming on these swings.
Hit the driver.
We're being asked to hit driver.
Which one?
Yeah,
did
While
I
we
see?
transition into driver, I would like to say, if everyone's enjoying this, please take an opportunity to like.
Go for it.
Once again, thanks to our gentleman from Tour Edge for joining us today. We're going to continue on with the THP Showcase this week. We've got lots more content coming, so make sure you are subscribed on whatever you're digesting, and we'll continue to provide this information to you folks through THP social channels as well as the homepage. That has got some bite to that sound. That was powerful.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, somebody mentioned our kind of construction constraints and what we deal with on these lower cost products. One of the toughest things to do is the sound, and that's those big V's on the bottom. John kind of mentioned this. They're not really there as just cosmetic features. They actually are really tied in to kind of help us out with our acoustic ribbing. It really helps out with the sound. That was really one of the biggest features with these guys was for those. They do look pretty, but we went through probably 25 different iterations of shape, size, just to make sure our modal frequencies were all right where we wanted them to be.
Made a little bit of a golfer change here, not club change. So Jeremy's going to hit a few with, I believe, the E series.
Yep.
Yeah, as far as the E driver, both drivers are retailing for $229. So what's funny about that is when we're testing and doing fitting with guys and gals, we are seeing, even if they were to spend 2 to 3 times as much on a driver, they're getting better performance characteristics out of the hot launch, and that's because the specs are more tailored for ease of use and ease of launch. So, for example, we have a 10 on the E side. We start at 10.5 degrees. Then we go to 12-degree driver, and then we actually have I believe it's a 15-degree driver in that line. And we also are the only company that's really focusing on higher lofted fairway woods. It comes in a 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 wood.
15-degree driver. That's outstanding.
It's one of those vanity high launch drivers where it's on the product, but it's a 15-degree. But in case somebody didn't want that advertised, it just says HL.
That was kind of
Jay.
There we go.
I think we got the guy
290.
here. So I want to share a bit of a story for everyone out there. Jeremy came down earlier in the week, and we weren't sure how much hitting he'd want to do. And then he started hitting drivers, and turns out he's our driver guy. So he's been peppering them for us. Nice opportunity here. 2,500 RPMs of spin, 155 mile an hour ball speed. Not even technically optimized from the shaft perspective and a fit perspective. And he is pounding this thing, which sounds amazing. And we're getting lots of comments, guys, in the comment section about how good it sounds. We've got that was destroyed. Jay is destroying the ball deep. And it rope. There's just happiness. It looks like.
And those spin numbers are fantastic.
Yeah.
Can you speak, Matt?
Should we
Can you
try the other
speak
one?
to how you guys in product development accomplished getting a higher launch along with these pretty low spin numbers for this kind of product?
Yeah, so I mean, those spin numbers are pretty low. I think the E was certainly designed to kind of spin a little bit more than C, but it's really all comes down to our CG location and just kind of finely tuning it. E is going to be a little bit deeper and a little bit lower, and we just really have to be careful, with E and having that big, massive chunk at the back. That's really how we got the CG back so far, and that's really kind of our big lever to pull as far as spin goes.
285.
I'm kind of jealous, guys. I don't want to hit. I've enjoyed watching, but wow.
Hey, you had some big matches the last 2 days, though. So
yeah, I'm a little bit worn out. But that was hammered.
Next time they have to come here and have a match.
Yes.
Yeah, they want to know. So James proposes hot chicken.
Hot chicken. I'm more hot chicken.
Hot chicken?
Yeah, love to have you guys down to the tech studio. We'll go head to head.
Yeah, let's do it. Got to redeem the OEM guys. I saw you beat Chris from Mizuno, so
I did, and if you ask about it, he'll probably not want to talk. So there's just so many positive comments in the comment section about how good this driver sounds, how good you guys are hitting it. So testament to you guys over at Tour Edge for making a product that sounds so good.
Yeah, there's
Well,
nothing
Jay,
worse
hit a rip.
than getting that aluminum baseball bat sound. So it's a big thing to avoid.
I can tell you he didn't leave much on the table there. Give us another one, Jay.
Yep.
Now that is a 10.5 C.
Yeah, we've moved into the C head. I believe it's at 10.5. And shaft should be Aldola.
It is the
And so
Rogue 60S.
What are the launch angles you're seeing between E and C?
We didn't make a direct comparison, but our averages, I would say somewhere around 15. We'll take a look at this one here.
Left it out a bit.
I want to see you rope that around again before we really assess the numbers here.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's definitely a tricky thing of switching back between E and C, just because of the offset and kind of draw bias that's already built into E. You're probably trying to make slightly different swings on both of them. So
And the 90 swings today.
Yeah, he's not short on swings this afternoon or this morning. We got a question in the chat once again on price points. So I'll let you guys touch that because it's such a good number.
$229 for the drivers, $150 for the fairways, $129 for the hybrids, and then the irons are $69.99 per iron for the C, the standard, more traditional design, and it's $89.99 per Ironwood on the E side. The wedges, the Super Game Improvement wedges, are also $89.99.
Incredible numbers. We have a couple more swings here from James, and I say we wrap it up. So if you have any questions in the chat for the gentleman from Tour Edge, please ask them now.
They like the prices.
They are not upset about the prices in the chat. What do you guys focus on over at Tour Edge to control the costs?
A lot of it just comes down to kind of some of our know-how in manufacturing these products. And another really nice thing that we do have, we've got a reasonably sized team, but compared to a lot of the big guys, our team is very right sized. I guess I'll put it that way. So we've got a lot more room where we are able to spend a little bit more on the product than you might think, and still sell it for these really, really competitive costs. But we've got to focus on things like finding the ways to finish the product that don't add a ton of cost, but we still have the really nice cosmetics and a really nice look on it. So a lot of times it just comes down to where we could diverge and make things a little bit more complicated. We kind of have to stick with a little bit more simplicity. But as I think anybody will see that goes out and hits the product, there's really not much of a detriment to performance in that regard. So, we don't necessarily need to spend an extra $15 on a decal to make the product perform any better. So that's kind of one of our biggest levers to pull there.
What do you think? One more, Jay?
One more. That's it.
No pressure.
They said no pressure.
Oh.
That was probably the one, guys. That was probably the big one.
That was like 310, I bet.
I guess there'll be one more.
No pressure.
That was not it. Sorry,
Well,
guys.
I think Jeremy's going to hit the Theragun and then probably have an ice bath. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Thanks everyone in the chats for bringing these questions. Jeremy, James, nice swings, gentlemen. Thanks for giving me the day off. I enjoy it. Any final thoughts from you gentlemen at Tour Edge before we sign off for the day?
No, just we love what you guys are doing. We love all the THPers. It's really just a cool forum to follow along, and it's a community more than anything else. And we are very ecstatic to be a part of it.
Appreciate that. And again, if anyone else following along is enjoying the content, please like the videos, subscribe so we can provide you more content in the future. And we'll definitely be back. Maybe even this evening.
Maybe.
We'll you guys will have to find out. So thanks again and have a great day.
Enjoy the hot chicken.
See you guys.